What's up, Raging Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching The Road to TF5. This is just a web series we're talking about Transformers 5. This is episode number 41. And before I begin, I have to give a big happy belated birthday shout out to two awesome Raging Nation members. That would be Simeon Koryechev from Bulgaria, and also Pip-Boy Nebula, who also goes by his Twitter handle, Kian Judge. Happy belated birthday to both of y'all, and I hope you had a good one. So let's talk about The Road to TF5 specifically, or rather, let's change gears up for this episode. Let's talk about the Transformers Cinematic Universe, because I don't really have a whole lot of updates for Transformers 5. Michael Bay is working on pre-production stuff, and they are going to be shooting soon. But as for the Transformers Cinematic Universe, what is going on? Well, the Transformers Cinematic Universe consists of a lot of films, a lot of stories which span for up to 10 years worth of content. That's 2026 or 2027 if you're starting with next year. That's when Transformers 5 comes out. So we're getting Transformers 5, we're getting the Bumblebee spin-off, and we're getting 2 more films after that. You can call it Transformers 6 and 7. Alright, let's just call it that for now. But then there are more films, and they're put together by a team of writers in this writer's room led by Akiva Goldsman. Now, as far as we know, we have Art Markham and Matt Holloway and Ken Nolan writing Transformers 5. We also have Andrew Barr and Gabriel Ferrari, who could be working on that animated Transformers Cybertron prequel, tentatively titled Transformers 1. And then there are other writers, such as Jeff Pinkner and Zach Penn, Lindsay Bear, I forget who all the other ones are, but there's more of them. Now, 2 of those writers are Steven DeKnight, who's the showrunner for Daredevil, and also Robert Kirkman, who is known for, of course, his work on the popular AMC series, The Walking Dead. So, what are they working on? What are they up to? What is their involvement with the Transformers series? Well, Steven DeKnight, I actually don't believe he's involved with it anymore. I think that he was just asked to be there at the writer's room to discuss, or rather throw in ideas, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him that is non-Transformers related. After all, he is going to be directing Pacific Rim 2 with Guillermo del Toro producing rather. But what about Robert Kirkman? Robert Kirkman, who is the creator of the Walking Dead TV series. Well, it looks like Robert Kirkman is the first out of all the writers to be officially out. He is out. He's no longer involved at all, officially, with the Transformers Cinematic Universe. As a matter of fact, he was only in the writer's room for that one day. One day out of the entire month they were putting ideas together. Only one day, mainly because of some circumstances beyond his control, and that he was dealing with throat surgery. So that put him out for a little bit, and then he, of course, has to work on his show, his upcoming show called Outcast. But other than that, he was only there for one day, and therefore whatever input he decided to throw into to this creative mix, that is that. That's it. Alright, so there's no more to follow up with that with regards to his contributions to the Transformers Cinematic Universe. So Robert Kirkman is out, which is unfortunate because I would love to see what he has to offer if he were to be an official writer for one of those films that we're going to see in the next 10 years. But it looks like he might just have a small writer's credit or a story credit or something, but he won't be the complete... Like, he won't be the full-on writer for any of those stories. So that's what's going on. That's really the main update I have for you guys for the Transformers Cinematic Universe. So let's just talk about, or rather, let's answer some fan questions. Or rather, just one fan question. I think this is a pretty loaded question, but I'll answer it in this episode just to give you guys something to work with. And that is, I can't even remember who asked me this. It was asked a while ago, but I thought that it was a pretty interesting question. So I'll throw in my thoughts about this, and that is, hey Alex, do you know if Hot Rod is going to be in Transformers 5? Well, of course, I don't know. I mean, how can I know? Because I'm not involved with the writing process. I have nothing to do with the production, but I can at least theorize. I don't know if Hot Rod is going to be in Transformers 5, but I can tell you this. I think that it is mathematically plausible for Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime to appear in a Transformers film in the next 10 years. Now, why do I think that? First of all, they got 10 years to work with. They got to put them in. I mean, but that's just theoretical, and that's just like, you know, probability. Now, the reason why I think it's mathematically possible for Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime to appear in the Transformers Cinematic Universe in the next 10 years is because, look, the last 4 Transformers films are centered around Optimus Prime's story. And I believe they're going to continue that because he is, of course, the face of Transformers. Optimus Prime, he has to make an appearance in, or at least be referenced at least, in all the films. And if we're talking about that, that means that Optimus Prime is going to go through an evolution, just as he has been in the last 4 movies. So, Hot Rod, or Rodimus Prime, is actually involved with the evolution of Optimus Prime in the cartoons. Now, the reason why I think that it is more possible now for them to introduce Rodimus Prime as opposed to in the last 4 movies is because now they're really digging into the Transformers lore. If they're gonna dig into the Transformers lore and spend a month looking at the Transformers lore to put together stories, then I think it is important that they bring in Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime, because his contributions in the story really affects the Optimus Prime character as a whole. And considering that, and I'm positive that Unicron is going to be the Thanos of the Transformers Cinematic Universe, which is most likely going to be battled with by the time we get to the very last film in 2026 or 2027, then part of getting to that journey to get to Unicron is having the Hot Rod story. The Hot Rod story, with his evolution to becoming Rodimus Prime, is very integral to getting to Unicron. And that is exactly why I say that it is mathematically plausible for Hot Rod to appear in a Transformers film. It might not necessarily be Transformers 5, but at some point in time, he has to appear. Because we're dealing with Unicron. We're dealing with the creators, or rather the Quintessons, and if you're going to have all these elements thrown in, this is, of course, a precursor to the big bad boss, and that is Unicron. So that is exactly why I believe that Hot Rod will be in the future Transformers films. Now, moving on with that, or rather following up with that, I think that we're also going to see Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus is also a key in the evolution of Optimus Prime, because he is kind of like Optimus Prime's brother, and in the various versions, or rather incarnations of Ultra Magnus, there is a huge involvement with this character. Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime have a huge connection with each other, which creates for a very, very interesting story. Now, if Ultra Magnus is to be in the films in the next 10 years, then I think that we're going to get a version of Ultra Magnus that is going to be very, very different from what we are used to, but we're still going to see him in there. Now, the reason why I believe that is because we've seen we've seen Sentinel Prime, and in no way am I trying to say that Ultra Magnus is like Sentinel Prime, but we've had that brother-in-arms kind of aspect introduced with Sentinel Prime in Transformers Dark of the Moon. So, because of that, I think that Ultra Magnus will be a different version of himself compared to what we've seen him in the past. But they've had so many changes with Ultra Magnus's character in the previous cartoons that, or rather previous, you know, like versions. Like for example, like there's Ultra Magnus in Robots in Disguise. There's Ultra Magnus in Transformers Prime. There's Ultra Magnus in G1. They're all very different, but all very similar. So we're going to have a version which will also be different, but probably have some elements that will be translated from the cartoons into live action. But as for Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime, absolutely. I 100% believe that we're going to see him at one point in time throughout this journey in the next 10 years before we get to Unicron. I 100% believe, I positively believe that his role or his introduction is integral to the story. And considering that Unicron is going to be introduced in the next 10 years, that means that by the time we are done with the Transformers films in 2027, you're going to take a break for a couple of years, and then they're going to reboot it again. I think it's appropriate. I think it makes sense, considering that Transformers started in 2007, and it ends in 2027, considering that they only have content for the next 10 years. That means that the Transformers universe, Michael Bay's Transformers universe, has existed for 20 years. I think that's a pretty good run. I think that run is long enough before they decide to reboot it. So that's all I gotta say in this video. These are my reasons for why I believe that Hot Rod is going to appear in the Transformers Cinematic Universe at some point in time in the next 10 years. I really positively believe that. And that's it. That's really all I gotta say in this episode. Hopefully I'll have some more info or intel for you guys. But as for now, that's all I got. And hopefully you enjoyed this. I'm gonna have more updates for you guys with more discussion. And that's all I gotta say in this video. So what are your thoughts on anything that I've talked about? Robert Kirkman is out of the mix in the creative department for the Transformers Cinematic Universe. And I also believe that Hot Rod will appear. And if Hot Rod is going to appear, what do you think he's going to do? What is his role? Are they going to translate it directly, like make a carbon copy of the way he is from the cartoons, or do you think that he's going to do something totally different? Let me know in the comment section below. You know, share your thoughts and what you think the live action version of him is going to be like. What do you think is going to be his alt mode? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Raging Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Raging Nation. My name is Alex Hughes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.